So in this video, I'm going to be talking about Sara, and this will be containing some potential spoilers. This won't be heavy spoilers, simply just giving context to why Sara has a disdain towards Rudy, and going into the deeper context of that, I'm unsure if the anime will go into full detail, because the anime could just work with what's already been explained or shown of why she has a dislike to Rudy, which I will also go over for contextual points. But the other stuff, which is more to do with her, who she is and why she is in the situation she is stuff that may or may not be in the anime. So I'm going to give some context. If you do want more information, go to my playlist in the description down below. I do a breakdown of every single individual volume. Season 2 is picking up from volume 7, and most likely will be going over volumes 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, just going based on the past record for season 1. So that's not really a spoiler, that's just an educated guess based on what season 1 covered. Will probably be the same amount as season 2. Maybe there will be some missing stuff like extra chapters from these volumes that may be explained at a later date or in a OVA, or maybe very briefly. We'll just have to wait and see. So the first thing, of course, is to give context of the first reason why Sara does dislike Rudy, and it's the obvious one that is explained in episode 1, or the second episode for Mushoku Tensei season 2, is his broodiness. He's very much difficult to kind of communicate with. He's mopey, he's groony, he constantly apologizes for things that he does not need to apologize for, and so because of his down demeanor, that does rub her the wrong way, and that adds fuel to the fire because of the second reason, which is to do with her parents' death. Now, Rudy is not directly involved in it, but because of the naming, so Sara's name is quite literally Sara. That's her name. There is no second component to her name. Rudy is, of course, as we know, Rudeus, Greyrat, so he has a second part to his name, which means he is of nobility. And because he has got nobility in his blood, now people can say, oh, but Paul this, but Paul... Again, it doesn't matter if Paul disowns it. It's still in his name. It still follows him. That is prevalent throughout season 1 when Rudy was having a discussion with Eris's father, and Eris's father brings up the idea of using Rudy as a bit of a pawn to gain leverage. People keep bringing up that Paul disowned the family and all that kind of stuff. It does not matter what Paul does. Rudy can still use that to his advantage if he so desired. So regardless, Sara knows of his second part to his name, because that is actually explained in the light novels fairly early on. So she dislikes nobility because in her past, when she was with her parents were murdered due to monsters, and the Notos Greyrat family were responsible of that area, but refused to send soldiers to help them because of a horde of monsters that attacked their hometown, and that led to the death of her parents. And she very much has a disdain towards nobility in general, or a hatred of nobility in general. So it's not just specific nobility, it's nobility in general. So you imagine when she meets this boy who's very broody, kind of has a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and could almost be perceived as a little bit too up his like high horse kind of attitude, thinks he's too good because of that. It adds fuel to the fire of why Sara would dislike him, because he's moody and he's of nobility, or has got nobility in his name and in his blood. Whether the father disowns it or not is irrelevant. So she has a bit of an issue with him. Now, I wouldn't say it's pure hatred towards Rudy. I would say it's more just disdain is the better way to put it. But she probably definitely has a lot of hatred towards the Notos Greyrat family, and just because of political kind of stuff, yes, it led to the death of her family, her mother and father, which then led her to get into the situation she is, where she is now part of the adventure group known as Counter Arrow. And of course, she learned her bow skills from her father. She is an exceptionally good individual at the bow. A little bit of additional context, because this will not be explained in the anime, because it's very minor backstory to the world, and it was explained very early on in volume 7, so it has already been skipped, is that bow users in this world are very much not very much used in adventure parties, and the reason being is due to just the pure disadvantage that bow users have. They have a limited amount of arrows, the accuracy, the issues when it comes to other adventurers in the front, like the front lines, you could accidentally hit people. There's a lot of issues with bow users in an adventure party. So they're generally not wanted in a party. But Sara is exceptionally skilled, and I mean very, very, very skilled at using a bow. I would say it would, and this is probably going to be controversial, and I will get hate for this in the comments, but I stand by it. I would see her skill with a bow on par to Rudeus' skill with magic. I'm not saying they're equal in the sense of like Sara is as good at magic, no. So just for clear cut and dry there, I just see her as skilled as a bow as if people saw Rudy with magic. Now Rudy does have some pretty nice little tricks obviously, but Sara has really honed a craft that is very much looked down on and is not desired in an adventure party. So to be good enough to be an adventure party and not be a hindrance is a very high skill in itself, which is why I see her as extremely talented individual. So I'm sure I'll get some hate and some flack for saying that, because a lot of people always see Rudy as overpowered, the big overpowered main protagonist that can never be defeated. But again, this is a world with very talented individuals, and Sara is one of those very talented individuals. She has got very, very good accuracy with the bow, and she is not scared to use arrows in different other ways, like you see in the first episode where she uses it almost like a dagger, where she just stabs something. And that's one of the things, is that she's very versatile. She's very quick on her feet, very agile, and is able to have high accuracy. And also, as you see in the first episode, she is able to craft her own arrows as well, and a bow. So she's got a lot of good skills. She's a very, very good hunter who learnt those skills from her father, and that would also build on that connection. She has a deep connection with her father. So imagine you being very much connected to your father, having a deep connection, and also the mother, and then losing those parents to the laziness of the notorious Greyrat not sending soldiers. That's how she sees it. So she's definitely got a reason to have a deep sense of hatred towards nobility in general. So I hope that gives context to Sara in general, and the relationship between Rudy as Greyrat, and her, and where that relationship goes. Well, you'll either have to go to the volume 7 explained or analysis video, or you'll just have to wait for future episodes and see where their relationship goes. But now you understand a little bit more about their relationship and why Sara has that feeling. And you can clearly tell others also have that bit of issue with Rudy because of his moodiness, and it's not like he explains things either. He just kind of mopes and gropes and then has his party disband. So everyone assumes, because he had his party disband, that his party members all died. So he doesn't explain that, oh, they just left and went on their own adventure. Well, in his mind, he believes Eris left him because he was inadequate, but they did not die, but everyone else thinks they died. So you can kind of see why people were having a misunderstanding about his behavior. So again, love to know your thoughts. If you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.